Hello there. I'd like to discuss the similarities that the populist movement has with people like Elon Musk after the H1B fiasco, where he very much landed opposite us on the debate. And I think this is a very important issue in general. It's also been exploding on social media in the last couple of days. I've seen a lot of interest in what's happening in Britain, in Keir Starmer and Jess Phillips' case, especially. So, Elon Musk tweeted Jess Phillips is, I can't say those words. He's apologist for mass adult forcing, let's say, on especially women and girls by so-called Asian men, really Pakistani, essentially. And he was basically tweeting Lord Talbot, who's saying, meet Jess Phillips, she's the safeguarding minister, she has refused an inquiry into Muslim, those gangs. Can someone tell her she is supposed to be safeguarding children, not the gangs? And you can also see from Andy No, who's a journalist. Honestly, I hesitate to say he's a right-wing journalist. I believe he's immigrant, gay, and Asian himself. Actually, Asian, not Pakistani. And he was left-wing until he started covering Antifa, and they basically beat him up, and the left completely turned on him. And basically, the left just evicted him from the left, just like they did with pretty much everyone else who's right-wing these days. It feels like that. Obviously, there's the original right-wingers too. And I think they should be leading the movement because, it's actually their house to start with. Regardless, he says the UK left-wing government has rejected request for a national government investigation into those gangs. Local investigations found thousands of girls were abused over decades by Pakistani men. Authorities ignore complaints due to fears about racism. And of course, one person who has championed the cause of protecting these women and girls more than anyone else and paid a heavier price for it is Tommy Robinson. And Tommy Robinson is currently in jail for like 9 months solitary confinement. What is his awful crime? He showed a movie about the subject that the authorities deemed against the public interest and forbade him to show. So he did it anyway. It's contempt of court. He should have been, as a civil offender, in a normal prison, not like the high-end prison for the worst offenders. They sent him there anyway, and since it houses tons of Muslim gangsters, and he's known for criticizing exactly those people, the authorities say, well, we can't let him be with the general population because it would be too dangerous for him. Therefore, solitary confinement. In this way, they're holding him in solitary confinement for 9 months, which, shouldn't be allowed because it will destroy your mental health to be in isolation for so long. And he has, I believe, through probably Ezra Levant, who's a close friend of his and is trying to stand up for him, a video, not a video, just the audio from 2 hours ago. It was released, so from prison. You can listen to the entire thing yourself, but I listened for some of it, and basically saying they know what they're doing is mental torture. They're trying to break him. They have their own experts that he has to meet with every 2 weeks to monitor his mental health, and they know what's going on, and it's the government's decision to hold him there for the whole 9 months. They can and should allow him to be in a less security prison where he can be, around other people. They are refusing to do so on purpose. He also says that this is because they know that he is working on another documentary where he claims to have proof that the Labour government is involved with these Muslim gangs, and specific politicians are, part of what they've done, and not only knew about it but helped it and perhaps even took advantage of it. And because he has all that information and is, trying to release it, that's why he's being targeted. That's his claim. Personally, I find that I do believe him because I found that he has been correct in what he's been saying for a decade now. A decade, 2 decades. And the government has been in the wrong. But, your mileage might vary. I'll also say that Elon Musk has been involved in this for the last couple of days, saying that he replied to Ezra Levant free Tommy Robinson when Elton tweeted about it, saying that he's in prison. He's asked for help with two urgent battles. Oh yeah, the other apart from not being in solitary confinement for 9 months, is apparently they are trying to fine him about 80,000 not dollars, whatever the currency is in Britain, and obviously that's not something that he can answer while he's in prison. So essentially, they might be able to just keep him there for contempt of court again, and just abuse the legal system to destroy him. Elon Musk tweeted about it a bunch of times, including the documentary that I believe over 100 or was 150 million views it has. The documentary that Tommy Robinson made about the gangs. He said that it was worth watching. And finally, he said, why is Tommy Robinson in a solitary confinement prison for telling the truth? He should be freed, and those who covered up this travesty should take his place in that cell. So you might say that Tommy Robinson, in my opinion at least, has been sounding the alarm on a major issue that required more attention. It was mishandled, perhaps even maliciously, and they are prosecuting him to cover it up. Now, Elon Musk has proved that he's on our side, at least on this issue, and I think on many issues. It's just that we should be careful because it's not that his interests always align with ours, and we should fight for our interests as the public, the population. And I said that despite the fact that I'm not American, because I am still part of the, class of people that have to work for a living. And what Elon Musk is pushing for is, in my opinion, bad for us. And I think the US is basically the leader of the free world, and everybody tends to copy them. I don't want them to normalize bringing in cheap foreign labor to replace the indigenous working class and leave us in poverty. I think that's an awful way to go about it, and if it becomes widespread even more than it already is across the globe, everybody is going to suffer eventually. It might be currently advantageous for these from poorer countries, but as globalization expands, they're going to end up with their own finances devastated by this as well. Just a matter of time. So someone who has been very much on the wrong end of this is Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage has been a leading voice on Brexit, and for that I respect him. However, he has been awful about immigration for a while now, and I do believe that he is simply too entrenched into the political class to be able to actually make any kind of criticism that is coherent and sharp enough to make a difference on issues like immigration, and you can see that he's losing support for it. In my opinion, there isn't a viable alternative currently on the scene in Britain to Nigel Farage. He is as populist as it gets in Britain, which is not saying much at all, because they have, in my opinion, awful public ecosystem right now, the political ecosystem. Basically, pretty much both the Tories and the Labour, there's very little difference between them, and they have been the two largest, two only viable, really, forces in British politics for ages. Nigel Farage replacing the Tories might be an improvement. No, it will be. But it's not going to be anywhere near enough. It will not reverse the awful changes that happened to the country. It'll only slow them down. And you can see that he is distancing himself and his party completely from Tommy Robinson. He is lying in that he... not lying, but he's... how to put it? Trying to criticize Tommy Robinson without having to lie about it, let's say. Saying that, well, Tommy Robinson claims that he is being prosecuted for his fight against the gangs, but that's not true. He's in jail for contempt of court, and this is his third time. He has other things as well. Basically, saying that Tommy Robinson is some sort of charlatan, and he keeps breaking the law on other things, and then he's trying to use his political activism as sort of a protective shield from the criticisms he deserves and the punishment that he deserves for what he's done. That's not true. The contempt of court is for showing the movie that over 150 million people watched about the gangs. So essentially telling the truth about it. It is part of his political activism, saying that he was sent to jail for contempt of court alone is, in my opinion, misleading in the extreme. Also, Tommy Robinson has never actually faced a jury of his peers. It's always just a judge. So I think it's a complete embarrassment to the justice system. Nobody talks about it, including Nigel Farage. And Nigel Farage is distancing himself from it. I can't criticize him enough. In my opinion, it is a total betrayal of his space, which is a populist. He is trying very hard to remain a traditional politician while pushing some populism as well. And while it's enough to beat out handily any other current viable political option in Britain, it's nowhere near enough to actually fix any of the problems that Western societies, all of them pretty much, face the same issues because they stem from the same place. There is a group that is, as you might have heard from me a couple of times, globalists. And they are essentially engineering our entire societies to fit their narrative and in their own mold. And that's causing all the problems. That's my narrative. I think it's the truth. Regardless, Nigel Farage is definitely not going to, let's say, stop or reverse immigration. He's going to probably slow it down if he has the power politically to do so. But that's about it. He's not going to try and restore order to what it was before. He's just going to try to make it less egregious than it is now. And same for the economy, same for pretty much every other issue. He is not a fix-it candidate. He's just a, well, let's try and mop up the symptoms a bit candidate. And that's not going to be enough. It's not going to do anything. If anything, slowing things and giving people false hope might even dampen the backlash that is very much rising towards these policies, causing another round of awful policies to come after and delaying the true, let's say, healing that is desperately needed. You will not have someone going 180 degrees from the current paradigm so long as Nigel Farage is the leading candidate in Britain. Just he occupies that space, and in my opinion, he's not good enough. He's just not good enough. Farage is very much a political animal, and from the same cloth as the current politicians, just less scummy. Not good enough. Now, you can see people starting to, how should I put it? Follow Elon Musk's lead on this. This is from Anne McGovern. Elon Musk has shared Tommy Robinson's documentary Silence. This now has over 100 million views. Elon Musk has also publicly criticized Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. This is huge. And there is a response from the government essentially saying that this is awful. We can't have some billionaire essentially impacting the local politics of England in this way. How dare he? He has no right. He's abusing his power and money to do so. Everybody is going to basically answer this with, well, there have been so many rich people, billionaires, like Bill Gates or George Soros or many others, that have been on the left, supporting them, criticizing the right, funding the left, etc., for decades now, and you didn't say a word because it was in your favor. Now there's a single rich man backing the right. Suddenly it's a major controversy. Obviously you're hypocrites and nobody should listen to you, and that's fair enough. I think this is a very airtight kind of criticism. Now finally, of course, there is the connection with what happened 2 days ago, I believe, the tragic case of an Islamic State supporter causing a, well, mass death event, let's say. This is from the Tommy Robinson media account. Obviously, he's not operating it because he's in isolation. This is how Tommy Robinson deals with, well, the Islamic State flags being paraded through his streets. This was well over a decade ago. Notice who the police target for arrest. Yes, they targeted those who were protesting against the Islamic State bearing Muslims. So is the government on the side of the Muslim gangs and the terrorists? Well, make up your own mind. In my opinion, probably. I will say, obviously, as someone living in Israel, you might say I'm biased against these guys. I will point out I don't hate Muslims. I actually, when gaming, sometimes talk to people who are from Islamic countries, people who are Muslims, and we get along quite well so long as they don't just hate Jews for being Jews. Often you'll find that they admit that their government has a lot of anti-Jewish propaganda and that they don't buy it, basically saying that they've never met a Jew and that they've had no impact on their life by Jews. It's just the government, and essentially the government just wants to direct all of the anger for the oppression that they do and the corruption they do towards some kind of boogeyman. And I will say that my government is sometimes similar in some cases where you will find that they try to distract from their own controversies by trying to unite people against an external enemy, Muslims, especially Palestinians, yes. Although I will say that there is threat from Hamas. They literally say that they want to end us all. It's in their charter. So it's not quite the same, but yeah, I don't hate people for being Muslim. I do hate people who are terrorists, and I do hate people who want to end me and everyone I know, my entire country. That's kind of natural. Tommy Robinson is on the right side of this. In my opinion, Nigel Farage is on the wrong side of this, and Elon Musk is on the correct side of this debate. Like I said, we have many similarities. We can work together. We just have to reach some sort of understanding about the situations where our interests are opposed, like with H-1B visas with foreign workers who are cheaper labor. In my opinion, we must stand up to Elon Musk, be brave, and say, no, you will not replace us with cheap foreign labor. The country is more than an economic unit. It's more than about trying to reach the best profits for large corporations. It's also about the welfare of the people living here. And this demands that we do not destroy our bargaining power in front of employers by importing tons of cheap labor. It's just the way it is. If he's actually willing to compromise, he claimed that he only wanted the 0.1% best people. If he was willing to compromise to that extent, I think we'll have no problem, but we'll see how it goes. Regardless, I absolutely support Elon Musk's campaign on behalf of Tommy Robinson. I think he's doing a great job, and I will try and dig deeper into this subject because I think there's a lot more to talk about. I'll see how much of it can actually be said on YouTube. For now, do remember, Trump is coming into office quite soon, and he claimed that he's going to amend Section 230 so that they won't be able to just punish speech that they don't like, only speech that is illegal. If that actually happens, you will get very different content. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.